and I don't blame them. I don't have any faith in our dollar, but I'm forced to trade in it every day. But a lot of people are finding out for the first time about this, but it's been something that's been going on for a long time. But I guess it's my opinion that just proves that we're one step closer. To say it's been busy is probably an understatement. In the month of March, I did an average year's sales in that 1 month.
Hey everybody, welcome back. And as you can see, today we are joined by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. This bullion dealer says that he did more business in March than a typical full year. Demand is crazy. Let's talk to Josh about it right now. Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win a full monster box of Silver Eagles by going to our sponsor sdbullion.com/silverseeker and get your entry today. Hey Josh, welcome back to the channel, guys. As you know, we have been visited by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion multiple times and glad to have him back. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Listen, I want to get right into it. Everything's been nuts. I know that every single online retailer is talking about how busy they are, and I've heard from you the same thing. Can you tell me a little bit what it's been like the last few weeks?
Sure. Well, the last few weeks since the banking collapse news, to say it's been busy is probably an understatement. In the month of March, I did an average year's sales in that 1 month. Fortunately for me, I had inventory to sell.
Yeah.
Not everybody's in that situation where they have product, but it's been insanely busy. A lot of new customers as well. I would say probably almost 50% of my sales in my record month came from new customers, people who had never bought before, or at least had never bought from me.
Wow. So what's the sentiment? Like, are they telling you why they're buying?
Some people are. A lot of the same situations where, they've never owned precious metal. They're hearing about everything that's out there, the weakening of the dollar, people losing faith in the dollar, including countries around the globe, just trying to find other vehicles to put their cash into, I guess, and metals is an obvious choice to put some into. That's a little safer than keeping cash in the bank, in their opinions. And others just, didn't really give a reason. And I don't press and ask why they're there. But a lot of people like to come in and talk and get my feelings on it as well.
Yeah, I figure that. I mean, I've been around a lot of coin dealers, a lot of shops, seen, plenty of conversations. And it seems like people that are, interested in buying gold and silver are certainly interested in getting more info from wherever they can. So I imagine someone like yourself and other coin shops are a really good place to go for that.
Well, we're always happy to give our opinion. As I always tell people, I'm not a financial advisor. This is only opinion, and then I'll give them my opinion. So ultimately they got to make up their own decision on what to do. But they do look at, people in my position for guidance, because a lot of people are coming in blind, not even understanding, how things are priced. I mean, as simply as that, or what does spot price mean? And I mean, there's a lot of people that literally come in here with no prior knowledge that are willing to put down large amounts of cash just to hold some metal. So we're in a unique position where we can really help and guide people.
So you're not a financial advisor, obviously, neither am I, but let me ask you, what is your opinion on everything going on right now?
Well, I think, I hate to say it, but I saw it coming, and you did as well. And we talked about that, I think, in our last interview where you'd put out a video, about the low spot and low premiums. This was a little over a month ago. It's not going to last for long. Well, it didn't. Not a week or maybe a few days longer than that after. Both spot and premium started to break out. Obviously, events around the globe kind of were a catalyst for that. The bank failures, more talk about the BRICS nations, things that China and Russia are doing as far as global finance and how that can affect the dollar. I mean, all those, in my mind, played into the uptick in metal prices. And then obviously, or spot prices, I should say. And then obviously landed costs have went up substantially as well because of the big rush in to buy metals. Premiums went up.
Yeah.
So, like I told people, in about a 3-month span, the cost to buy a silver round in my shop went up. A 3-week span. The cost to buy a silver round in my shop went up $4.
Wow.
Silver went up silver went up a little over $3. Wholesale cost went up almost $1. So there was a big opportunity late February, early March to really stack up and do it at a low cost, but it's isn't the situation today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I made that video, I knew it wouldn't last forever, but I'll be honest and also say I didn't think it would be that quickly either. So I do wish I would have bought a little bit more for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did take the opportunity and picked up some silver, but I wish I would have kind of doubled down, if you will.
Yeah, well, me as well. And I just got done saying I did buy pretty aggressively, so I'd have inventory because I knew there was going to be a rush. But the banking news really was a catalyst, and really made things change quickly, I guess. And nobody could have predicted that. If they said they knew it was going to happen in that fashion, they're wrong. I mean, they're lying. Nobody really knew, but unless you were on the board of the bank that failed,
Yeah,
then maybe you had some prior knowledge. But yeah, it's been wild times for sure.
So you said a lot of people are coming in and putting a lot of cash down on gold and silver. What do you, like a coin dealer, do with that cash? Do you just go out and reinvest it in more silver and gold?
Yeah, we have to. It's kind of funny. The customers, I don't want to say they're making runs on the bank, but a lot of people are withdrawing cash. And obviously there's limitations with what they can buy with cash without having to fill out IRS paperwork. And a lot of people are aware of that and don't want the government's, nose in their business. And I feel the same way. So cash purchases in my store are limited. I will not take cash purchases of 10 grand or more because that triggers off a reporting form on the customer and myself for the IRS. So
Yep.
Actually, I don't think there's a dealer in North Dakota that does that. So, if they want to do a purchase that's large, there's other ways. There's wire transfers, there's cash and check. I mean, there's other ways to do it. But yeah, essentially, if they bring in cash, I'm bringing it right back to the bank. So
Yeah.
whatever bank that people are making the run on, I'm just putting it right back in so I can write checks for more inventory.
Yeah, that
So
totally
the
makes
bank,
sense.
yeah, from my perspective, I don't think the banks are running out of cash, at least not my bank.
Yeah.
They're getting plenty from me.
So that form you're talking about is Form 8300 for any of you guys wondering
Correct.
out there. And let me ask you a question. Speaking of federal forms, I did a video not long ago about the difference between silver eagles and silver rounds when it comes to Fed reporting. So have you ever had to issue like a 1099-B for buying more than 1,000 ounces of rounds from somebody?
I haven't. No, I've never been in that position. So it's based on the volume of purchasing just in the last couple of years that I've seen, I'm sure that time is coming. The next big uptick or crisis, and people need to take profits. People are going to be bringing in large amounts, I have a feeling, to sell. So that'll be a bridge I have to cross at that moment.
Fair enough. Yeah, because, I had some comments on videos a while back where people thought that they didn't have to pay capital gains taxes on silver eagles, and I just had to be very clear that you do. It's just that coin shops like yourself, you could buy as many silver eagles as you want. You don't have to issue that 1099-B, but you do on like generics, silver rounds, etc. So I kind of cleared that up. That is something that you would have to do, though, if it did come through your door, I assume.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be compliant with federal regulations. Like I tell people, I'm not going to go to prison for someone else because they don't want to follow the law.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm gonna be compliant. So if they don't like it, they can seek elsewhere to do business, I guess.
Totally get that. I wonder, bringing that up, I just wonder how many people, in regards to Form 8300, just go from shop to shop buying $9,600, $9,700 per shop so they don't have to trigger that form. You know what I mean?
Well, I know of people that do that.
Yeah.
Because they've blatantly told me, and sometimes I'm the first one they'll come to with I had somebody come in with nearly 50 grand in their pocket, and I didn't realize that at the time, but we visited for about an hour. They were kind of torn between what they were going to buy and finally made the decision. I said, okay, well, how are you going to pay today? Cash. I said, oh, we can't do cash. They were going to spend over 40 grand. Well, why not? So I had to explain that whole situation. And he said, well, couldn't I just spend 9,800 here and then go to a different city? I said, yeah, you absolutely can. I mean, but you can't spend that all here without triggering the form. So needless to say, he spent under 10 grand in my shop, and whether or not he drove around the state and continued on a shopping spree, I couldn't say, but he was aware of that and didn't want to trigger the form either.
Man, I can't imagine just driving around with 50 grand in cash or gold and silver.
I know it's kind of mind-boggling. You get kind of numb to it, honestly, dealing in a shop like this, because there's a lot of stuff coming and going, but it is crazy. Yeah, just people. I had no idea he had it on him, but yeah, he pulled out a yeah, it was a lot of cash. I was surprised.
I mean, that's a valid point. Like, if you're driving around with that much cash, as long as nobody knows, it's not, you're going to be like any other driver to them, right? But
Exactly.
it would still in the back of your mind, even though no one else knows, and to them you're just a dad driving your son to a soccer game, whatever it may be. I mean, still, it's in the back of your mind that you have it on you, and it would, I guess, at least for me, it would make me a little bit nervous. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's justified for sure.
Right. So let me ask you this: you had brought up the BRICS nations. Do you follow that very much? Do you have any opinion or input on that?
I follow it from afar, I guess. Quite frankly, I'm so extremely busy. I don't have a lot of time recently, anyway, to really dig into the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that there's mainstream media now finally reporting about BRICS. I've known about BRICS for a long time. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had customers that are texting me, ones that like to talk about that type of thing. Oh, did you hear about this? And they'll send me a picture of their TV where Fox News or CNBC is talking about the BRICS nations. So a lot of people are finding out for the first time about this, but it's been something that's been going on for a long time. But I guess it's my opinion that just proves that we're one step closer to the ultimate collapse of our dollar. And ultimately what happens to it, nobody knows, but I believe there could be a few different scenarios that could end up happening because as, global powerhouses get away from our dollar, which they're already doing, and more countries are wanting to join this BRICS coalition. And I don't blame them. I don't have any faith in our dollar, but I'm forced to trade in it every day. But I personally believe at some point we're going to have a new currency in the United States. Depending on what that is, or who ultimately wins the battle between good and evil, we will see. But I personally hope that it's an asset-backed, at least partially, currency. And I think that's what more and more countries globally are looking at doing. I think that would be good for everybody, frankly. If we end up with let's just say the crypto-backed digital currency. I'm not a fan of that. I know people that are, but I'm not. I don't want to give up my freedom and my privacy. Essentially, that's what I believe we would be doing if that currency were to be the new means of, buying and selling.
I mean, they track everything you buy and sell, everything. I can't even imagine what.
Well, exactly, and they can turn you off if, they could basically bankrupt you, who's ever controlling it, much like they did to the Canadian truck drivers protesting COVID mandates. In Canada, they shut off their accounts. They had no access to their banking records.
Man.
So it's a little scary. I'm not trying to freak people out, but it could happen.
Yeah, I'm not into the whole fear mongering because I don't want people to make stupid decisions because there's too many people out there that just go crazy. Saying, everything's going to collapse, tomorrow and be prepared. And I just try not to do that. I said this in a video yesterday, as I'm recording this, I literally said yesterday how I really do, like, I put all this gold and silver aside because I do worry things like that could happen, but I really, honest to God, hope it doesn't, I
agree.
I just don't want to be in that world. Like, I just don't. It's not something I want to go through. It's not something I want my kids to go through. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say I can't fathom that anybody would want to live in a world like that where we have to use gold and silver, because that means, our society is broken down and we no longer have a currency. But on the other hand, it's best to have some and not need it than need it and not have it. I always have lived by that mantra. So. And I don't believe in fear mongering either. And honestly, if you're thinking about purchasing metal, try to take emotion out of it. I know that's hard to do, but just try to approach it rationally, whether or not it's right for you. But if indeed our dollar does collapse and there's not an immediate replacement, there's going to be chaos. Literal chaos. And a lot of people are going to be hurting. A lot of people and love who didn't prepare or chose not to. So yeah, nobody wants to live in that world, and I'm certainly not rooting for it. And, I get people in here, not daily, but, a few a week probably. Oh, yeah, I was watching such and such on YouTube, and he's predicting silver is going to be 1,000 by 2024, 1,000 an ounce. And I just kind of laugh. I said, well, first of all, back up. I mean, if anybody claims they know what the price is going to be at any given point, they're lying, unless they're looking backwards and can say it was this price at this time, but nobody can predict it. And if it did get to 1,000, what would that mean? Would you sell? Oh yeah, I'd be selling mine right away. And then I'd explain to them, and you brought this up before, well, what does that $1,000 buy? It probably buys you what $24 does now. So did you really gain? No, well, you protected yourself more than anything. So
I think
I don't know. Go ahead.
I think people get drawn to the allure of, being a millionaire. And I don't think they understand what that means. Like we could go, we could have lived in Zimbabwe and been billionaires. I mean, I had, I had the $100 trillion Zimbabwe bill. I had a few of those, and, what am I, a trillionaire now? What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything. It's what the purchasing power of what you have, is worth, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if silver's $1,000 an ounce if a loaf of bread is $1,000. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're exactly right. And by the way, I'm a fellow Zimbabwe trillionaire.
Yeah.
I have some of those as well. So yeah, it's comical. In fact, I have a little acrylic sign in my shop that I bought from an online bullion place that has an American silver eagle encased in it, and right below it, it has a 100 million Zimbabwe note. And essentially, it's asking the rhetorical question, which one has real value?
Right.
The ounce of silver or the $100 million Zimbabwe note that it would take, a wheelbarrow full to buy a loaf of bread. So, it's all perspective, I guess. And I'm in a position where I get to educate people about that who come in with no concept or understanding. So,
those $100 trillion Zimbabwe notes, one of my biggest missed opportunities, actually, back in 2013, I want to say January, or maybe it was the end of 2012. I think it was like January 2013, though. I was at a coin show in St. Louis, and there was this guy from Namchong Coin. I remember the company. He was walking around. He had bricks of the $100 trillion notes, and he was just trying to sell them for 50 cents a piece if you bought them by the brick,
wow,
or $1 a piece if you just bought singles. And I picked up a couple of singles because I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I can say I'm a trillionaire. But I did not have any idea that 10 years later they'd be selling on eBay for like $200 each. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, oops.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know why they're selling for so much on eBay?
I actually don't. You want to fill me in?
Well, I'll fill you in what the understanding I have. There's a growing contingent of the population out there. And like I said, I hear a lot of things from my customers when they come in, but about a global currency revaluation, RV. And I don't want to dig too deep into it because we could talk for 5 hours, but essentially global currencies that were hyperinflated in countries like Zimbabwe, Bolivia, Yugoslavia, Vietnam, Indonesia. Basically, those countries were ravaged by war. Their currencies got hyperinflated. Supposedly, there's a global currency revaluation coming. It may be tied to this whole BRICS thing that's going on. This might be a beginning domino for it, but essentially what it means is there's going to be, and I don't know if this is happening, I'm just telling you what some people believe, so take that with a grain of salt, but
right.
At some point there's going to be redemption centers where people can exchange their foreign currency as part of a revaluation at new rates and exchange it for whatever the current currency is at the time, whether it's our current dollar or some type of new, vehicle that we use for commerce. But those $100 trillion Zimbabwe notes, if you believe what some people believe will happen, those can end up being very valuable at a redemption center for exchanging. Because of all the zeros, essentially.
I have trouble seeing that. I mean, I could add a bunch of zeros to the end of anything that doesn't make it more valuable. I mean, there's just so many of them out there, right? Like, it's simple supply and demand.
Exactly.
If there's one of something but 10 people want it, it's rare. If there's, 10 of something but only one person wants it, who cares? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like you touched on earlier, fear mongering. I mean, essentially, you can argue that's what that is, and that's really driven up the price of high denomination currency. Iraqi dinar is another one, where they used to be cheap. You could buy them on eBay.
Yeah.
Now the number of people that are selling them has shrunk substantially, and the price is way up. So there's a lot of people that are trying to purchase this and hold it with the thought that they could exchange it for a profit at some point. So
Yeah.
Whether or not that happens, who knows? But then again, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
I mean, technically,
So,
technically, you could exchange it for a profit on eBay today, right?
yeah. Well, right. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I tell you, man, I remember that. I mean, he had boxes full of bricks. He was just going around to every table on the show, just
please buy some, huh?
Right, full bricks, 50 cents a piece, singles for $1 per note. I mean, oh man, I should have just bought as many as I could afford. Oh well, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. I could have also bought Bitcoin back then as well. I mean, whatever, so. So, all right, Josh. Well, I mean, that's probably all I wanted to touch on today. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, not really. I appreciate you reaching out as always. Keep
Absolutely.
doing what you're doing. I always enjoy watching your videos, and I appreciate you reaching out to me as well to get my opinion on things. And it's staying busy here in Minot, North Dakota. So I know across the nation, dealers are in the same boat, where it's very, very busy, and we're doing what we can to get inventory on hand for everybody, but it's a struggle sometimes.
Well, guys, speaking of awesome people that you should check out, I just want to one more time, and I know you heard this at the beginning of the video before we had Josh on here, but Josh is a coin shop owner in Minot, North Dakota. It's Minot Coin and Bullion. If you guys are anywhere close to him, or if you just want to give him a call, fantastic guy, as you guys probably can tell by watching this entire video, and definitely go over there and show him some support. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Always appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.